their least favourite body part, and they'll probably say their feet. At number 1, foot care. Whether medically through chiropody or cosmetically through the pedicurist, is a multi-billion-pound affair. Ideally, we visit those professionals. In practice, some of us mistakenly decide to have a go ourselves. Peeling skin might be satisfying, but it's usually a sign of fungal infection, and peeling it won't help.
Can I do that with you?
And if you do insist on picking your feet, doing it in public isn't going to make you any friends. This man's feet have been neglected for years. Not only have the toenails curled over, but they've also built up on top of each other. This calls for a pro to come to the rescue. The podiatrist has painstakingly and carefully cut and chiseled through the thick layers of skin for more than 25 minutes to get these manky feet to look somewhere near a healthy pedicure. Here's another guy with an infected toenail. But he's not had the nous to call in the professionals. He's allowed pals at his Thanksgiving celebrations to perform a mid-party pus-relieving pedicure with a power drill. This is both risky and stupid. And should never, ever be copied.
We got it! Oh my, good job!
Good job?
Great job!
Good job he didn't lose the entire toe.
It's good. It's good.
Another foolish foot fiddler is trying some home care instead of going to a qualified professional. This one doesn't use a drill, but a razor blade to shave his infected skin like Parmesan cheese. And with the same trademark smell, too. Why on earth would you pick that up? Definitely do not try this at home. And this guy in Russia has taken an even more industrial approach. Regular toenail clipping is essential to keep the nails healthy and free from infection, but he's decided to risk life and limb by using an angle grinder. You wouldn't want him to be your pedicurist, though, would you? Now, we all know what makes a romantic night in. Bottle of wine? Check. Candles? Check. Toenail picking? Uncheck.
Chunkies.
But for this couple, spending the evening picking at feet seems totally normal. Cleaning out and shortening the toenail can help fight any infection lurking. But when he said, "Do you fancy a night of fun, girl?" little did she know it would turn out to be fungal. While some people get off on the wrong foot, others have feet made for feats. This is 20-year-old Mohammed Baraka. With party pieces like this, he must be cut up over his foot care bills. It goes without saying, do not try this at home, or indeed anywhere else. Leaving those fungally, gnarly feet behind now, we're moving up the body to another extremity. This girl has a party trick that will shock and entertain.
Hi, I'm Taryn, and I'm gonna show off some cool tricks I can do with my hands.
Humans wouldn't be humans without their hands. Our opposable thumbs mean we can grip things, but this girl's skills are almost superhuman. She can do this because she has hypermobile joints. I'm sure that'd come in handy. Not quite sure what for, though.
And this one doesn't hurt at all. Actually, none of them do.
This man from the Netherlands is showing off his dexterity. His turn is this showstopper. This is no mean feat, but it is a pretty mean hand. We use our hands so much that we can all suffer from the occasional blister, but being able to inflate loose skin into a balloon is bonkers. Apparently, it was a bad reaction to penicillin that gave this man his blistering hand-blowing talent. We have fingernails because we're primates. They are essentially flattened forms of claw, useful for stroking leaves, seemingly. These are the longest nails in Russia, owned by Elena Shelenkova, who vlogs on the subject.
Today I will show you few moments.
Oh, hello. Is that it?
So now it's very easy for me. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. See you next time.
Can't wait. Now, whatever Russia can do, America wants to do better. These ladies are from Dallas, where the state motto is, "Big things happen here." And looking at those humongous nails, they might have a point or 20. Another 88 body shocks to come right after this, including some real head turners. So we resume our body shock count at number 14 with a real head turner. 14-year-old Samir Khan realised he could do this 180-degree swivel after watching the film The Exorcist. Nicknamed Owl Boy, he's hoping his unbelievable flexibility will land him a part in a Hollywood movie. Well, we've had Tina Turner, Kathleen Turner, why not Head Turner? Anyway, we absolutely do not recommend trying this at home. This poor lady has gone to the doctor after complaining her face was hurting. After applying a solution, the cause of her face ache became clear. Dozens of tiny parasites have been living and breeding under her skin. Ouch! When it comes to cosmetic surgery, read the small print. Things can go wrong. In this woman's case, the dermal filler isn't behaving as it should, and her head has gone all squishy. She's taking it fairly well, considering she looks like a piece of plasticine. There's only one thing for it. Get that stuff out of her. The surgeon had to make a hole and squeeze it out like toothpaste. Poor woman. I think she's had her fill. Moving up the head now to hair. And here's a long-haired lover from Liverpool. Turns out he's a swinger, and he's from China. The hair hang is an old circus act, and best left to the professionals, as performing it can be very painful. And hair-raising. For most of us, a visit to the salon does not involve too many body shocks, unless, of course, you're going for an 80s perm. This Chinese barber is practicing the rare art of cutting hair with hot tongs, which raises the question, who would actually want that backcombed style? Could be worse, though. In India, this barber has an unusual and potentially fatal method of achieving that perfectly coiffed look, by setting his customer's hair alight. The guy doesn't seem too bothered about his life being endangered by this unorthodox and frankly insane approach. But think about this, my friend. Sweeney Todd was also a barber. Perhaps if this guy had been to that barber, he wouldn't be suffering with this. They're head hair lice, the highly contagious adult form of nits. You can normally get rid of the blood-sucking parasites fairly easily, although seems like this passenger's head has become some kind of nature reserve for the little critters. You should get that sorted. Not that I'm nitpicking. A lot of us are squeamish when it comes to our eyes, and for good reason. The eye is an extremely delicate organ, which has to be in perfect working order to function properly. So there's huge potential for the eyes to provide shocks. Whether it's a self-inflicted horror like this guy, who has developed the ill-advised skill to pop out his eye. Or this guy, who has mastered the art of the dancing eyes. Didn't see that coming. You've heard of blood, sweat and tears? For the last 2 years, this young woman has produced all three at once. It's an incredibly rare condition called hemolacria, which means she cries blood. And doctors are still trying to find a cure. Another clinical case where one woman's vision problems turned out to be more than meets the eye. To be precise, worms were eating her eyes. After bathing in infested streams, these parasites decided to find a room with a view, but luckily the victim got help before losing her sight. The eye is such a delicate structure that most of us couldn't bear the thought of anything near it, let alone in it. Not for the faint-hearted. In some parts of China, they're still undertaking the ancient art of roadside barber shaves. This risky procedure that could potentially blind involves allegedly refreshing and improving comfort in the eye by unblocking the sebaceous glands in the under eye. It's usually offered as an extra service on top of a haircut. Something for the weekend, sir? This next procedure also looks risky. A tiny jewel is being implanted in the surface of an eye. Ophthalmologists have warned of the risks of complications for the patient, including mild to severe loss of sight, but this hasn't deterred her. This radical bling is possible in the Netherlands, but only if it's done in clinical, sterile conditions. After all, no point looking blinding if it blinds you. For some reckless individuals, the structures around the eye can be adapted for tasks unrelated to vision. This kung fu expert wants to prove the strength of his eyelids. Incredibly, he is placing hooks over them before doing some eye-ups. Don't try that at home. Actually, don't try it at all if you value your sight. Heading just round the corner from eyes to ears now. Experts say earwax usually falls out on its own, but in this woman's case, 15 years' worth of dirt has taken its toll. She went to the doctor complaining that she could not hear and said she was afraid to get water in her ears. After just 4 minutes in the chair, and the doctor was able to completely remove the buildup of gunk. This guy wasn't so lucky. Years of wax have built up and he's in excruciating pain. So he's been put under general anaesthetic in order to make the removal more bearable. It's tempting, even though we're told not to shove a cotton bud into our ears to remove the wax. Well, by doing this, you can actually push the wax deeper into your ear canal and seriously damage sensitive ear skin or your eardrum. And this could happen. The cotton could come off the tip and get lodged in there. This endoscope footage from a Vietnamese clinic shows an ear canal that's proving to be a nice breeding ground for a rare kind of fungal spore. Not much room to grow, but without treatment, he would have ended up deaf. Another patient came in complaining of deafness and itching. The docs captured this amazing footage before, presumably, capturing the offending cockroach. This next patient isn't itching, but has a kind of tickling and scratchy pain. You'd think minor ear infection, but that would be far too boring. In fact, something had been boring its way in. This ear chamber had doubled up as a bachelor pad for this butterfly. What is it with the Vietnamese creepy crawlies? Haven't they got nests to go to? And they're not just in Vietnam. This unfortunate patient in India was complaining of unbearable pain and discomfort in her ear, so decided to visit her local hospital to get it checked out. Before long, it became clear what was bugging her. Lured out by the bright light, it's very lucky the poor woman wasn't arachnophobic. And this next patient's problem isn't lodged deep inside. This poor woman has an ear cyst on the outer ear. These form as a result of blocked sebaceous glands and contain sebum or grease and, if infected, pus. And it looks like the pressure is building. You wouldn't want to be in the firing line. Ear beauty now. And with ear piercing on the rise, it's perhaps no surprise that there are sometimes body shocks, especially when going about having a piercing in a reckless and quite frankly foolish way.
This is a size 7/8, no mind you. I've had these out for
Shouldn't you be in a salon?
over a month. These are how tiny my holes are. This is the size that I'm putting in.
If you say so.
And, this is gonna hurt like a mother.
80% of American women get ear piercings, but not many do it themselves.
Yeah.
Not now. Talk about bad timing.
Someone needs the bathroom in.
The earlobe is a sensitive piece of tissue. It has got elasticity, but any stretching needs to be done very gradually and always under the guidance of professionals.
We're getting somewhere. Boom. Oh.
Oh, that's torn it. Quite literally.
Well, I guess I may have to get my...
With risk of infection and worse, this moronic act should be a lesson to us all.
What the did I just do?
And it's not just ears that provide body shocks. We're heading around the corner now. When it comes to dealing with manky mouths and terrible tonsils, oral surgeons certainly earn their crust. Speaking of crusts, when the docs dug into this guy's soft tissues, they found this hard pebble-like growth. No, it's not a tooth, but a blocked salivary gland that produced its own calcium growth. Yuck! Here, doctors find that a woman complaining of a throat blockage has an uninvited guest. That is a blood-sucking leech that had been growing inside for 3 months. If left, it could have eventually choked her. Thankfully, the woman's condition later improved, but we're not sure about the leech. So, we've seen the importance of oral hygiene. Now, on to some people without toothbrushes who are seemingly improvising. Letting your pet rat lick your teeth clean has to be an oxymoron. Talking of morons, this woman has upgraded to a squirrel brush. Very posh. From teeth, we're going up in the world now to noses, and this mystery man is Mr. Lee, aka the King of Snakes. He has been practicing this somewhat pointless and downright stupid routine since he was 13 years old. Has anyone told him the nose is not supposed to be for shoving snakes into? This plane passenger is more of a king of the finger. He seems oblivious to his fellow travellers as he continues his digital mission. Perhaps he's a golfer. He certainly seems to have bagged a couple of bogeys. And if you're actually worried that you might be seen picking your nose, just do as this guy does and grab your girlfriend's finger instead. I don't think she even knows what he's up to. Rule number 1 of FaceTiming is you don't want anything to interrupt your flow. Ew, that wasn't the kind of flow he was hoping for. Full marks for the recovery, though. When it comes to nasal mucus, kids produce the stuff in epic quantities. But if it becomes too viscous, like this toddler's, it needs a bit of help to shift things along. It's not going to be a problem for today, at least. Nasal hair extraction now.
Here goes.
Forget the tweezers, though. This fella's got other ideas. Mainly stupid and dangerous ones. He's going with a heavy brick attached via strings to waxed nose bungs. What could possibly go wrong? This isn't going to end well. This is going to be incredibly painful.
3, 2, 1.
Some people will film themselves doing anything. Several reasons not to try this at home. One being, you never know where that brick might land. A professional extraction now, and this guy's had something nasty in his nose for 2 months. It's clear he's in immense pain as whatever is lodged up there doesn't want to budge. That is a parasitic animal, the doctor was heard to say as the patient left the surgery. Bit unfair, don't you think? When it comes to our mushers, you might as well face it. Some of us are addicted to popping pimples. If people aren't popping their own, they're sat watching some poor soul getting theirs popped online. Online fans known as popaholics get their kicks from squirting sebum or even liquid pus, with the most popular getting around 15 million views a pop. But there are dangers to pimple popping. If you push some of the contents inside the pimple deeper into the skin, you increase inflammation. This can lead to more noticeable acne. You also run the risk of getting an infection from the bacteria on your hands. Not a good look. Here, a facial cyst from a blocked hair follicle has had to be cut by a medic. And out comes the fruit of the cyst, a protein called keratin. Squeezing is pleasing. Don't eat it, though. Another 48 body shocks still to come, including some that you'll find hard to swallow. We're counting up some of the outlandish and often gruesome body shocks. 101 of them in all, and so far we've seen our orifices, such as our nose and ears, have some unwelcome surprises coming out of them. We're now looking at what we put into the body, which can be just as shocking. Like in the Far East, where bugs are occasionally eaten as a delicacy. They are normally cooked, though. Looks like this guy's game of pool has given him an appetite, and he's gobbling his body weight with fresh ones. What's wrong with buying a packet of crisps like most people? The British equivalent of a pub snack is chips. Most people have ketchup on their fries. This hungry bloke seems to prefer ants, and more worryingly, it doesn't seem to be bugging him. A balanced diet requires protein, carbs, and of course fats. This woman is getting her whole month's supply right here, right now. Swallowing something this big, she could get the butter stuck in her throat or windpipe, blocking the flow of air. A big risk to take for a stupid stunt. Butter is a relatively sensible diet compared to our next strange snacker, who appears to be lining up a tasty light bulb. I'm not sure this is the brightest thing to do. Our digestive tract cannot process a diet of glass or metal, so most of us tempted by a light snack like this will probably end up in A&E. So definitely do not try this at home. Think that's as bad as it gets? Step forward Leocat Khan, who loves nothing more than a good chewing on stones. He started 15 years ago and now eats them all the time. He knows it's not doing him any good, but admits he is totally addicted to the hard stuff. Another earthy eater is Kusmavati, a 78-year-old from India who swears by her unique diet. She's been stuffing her face with 2 kilos of sand and gravel every day for 6 decades. In spite of the risks of gastric pain and internal bleeding, she says she's never had to see a doctor and credits her long life to her gritty diet. Reckon she's got room for dessert? Over to the US, where basketball champs the Cleveland Cavs are celebrating another successful season. Time to celebrate with a nice hearty meal. Oh no. Doctors warn that this fan's crappy diet could actually lead to potentially lethal infection, so avoid the poo and have a hot dog like everyone else. Still in the US with this cute family scene. Maybe not that cute. Getting the baby to clean the father's stomach and filming it. Ugh, that is definitely not cute.
Oh my god.
Nothing that gross can happen in England, surely.
I'm going to eat my wife's placenta. I don't think anybody's done this for a long, long time, or certainly no husbands have done it. I've got a wee raw bit there, which I've already garnished with some salt and pepper. I've tried it already, it's not too bad. Here goes. There's the raw bit. Oh, this isn't as good as the umbilical cord spaghetti, by the way.
This stomach-churning scene shows new dad, Ross Watson, tucking into his wife Heather's placenta. Each to their own. But after-birth after effects are probably nothing compared to some of the stuff that ends up in people's stomachs.
Cheers.
This patient has been complaining of abdominal discomfort. So when surgeons operated on him, they were surprised by the source of the problem. Eventually, they dug out 22 needles, which they guessed had been there for years, causing, it's presumed, quite a sharp kind of pain. It's not known if he ate them or not, but he should have stuck to the local delicacies of chicken heads and feet. Not to everyone's taste. So this guy has turned his back on tradition and opted for something hotter. The black object in the scan is a cigarette lighter. The lighter was no laughing matter, and even though it had been lodged there for years, it still had to be surgically removed. It's easy to see how you might accidentally swallow the occasional coin in the Christmas pud. But Indian doctors were totally gobsmacked when they found this lot inside a patient. Not only were there 90 coins, the 75-minute op produced necklaces, bangles, anklets, earrings, nose rings, and even a watch. It was an astonishing haul weighing over 3.5 pounds. It remains a mystery as to why she'd munched all that metal. Who knows, maybe she needed more iron in her diet. Usually what we eat doesn't resemble what comes out the other end. But normally we do need to make quality toilet time. One obsessed Chinese computer gamer has decided to skip the loo break so he can carry on playing the game. But with the help of that bucket, he can carry on while doing a bit of downloading of his own. This group are intently studying the work of a tattoo artist. So far, so good. So fart, so bad. I wouldn't get that close. There may be more where that came from. Get the air freshener, somebody. When it comes to letting it all hang out, these things are best done in private. This guy forgot about the security cameras. When he throws caution to the wind for a good itch and a crafty sniff. The store car park is even more public.
Look at him scratching in his ass. Oh, nasty ass nigga, look, then he smell it. Oh, nasty ass.
We're still below the belt, but around the other side of things, and this is a truly shocking scene that will get every man's eyes watering. Chinese battered balls. Those kung fu guys really are gluttons for punishment. If you do want to do a job properly, better do it yourself. Students of kung fu take pride in toughening themselves with a trial of the testicles. And if those look like testing times, bring on the big guns. If any guys at home are thinking of trying this yourself, I'd just sack it off. Well, it will never make the Olympics, but you have to hand it to them. Those guys certainly are nuts. Also risking keeping his manhood intact is this Chinese guy who has perfected the art of lifting cases of beer by the power of his penis. Okay, genitally does it. Apparently, the perpetrator of this penis party trick has been practicing it every day for years. I hope he doesn't work as a barman. Possibly the oddest way of getting brewers droop. If you thought lifting 3 boxes of lager with your manhood was the definition of machismo, this guy has taken things to the extreme. Okay, he's a monk, so that penis is probably showroom new. But it does beg the question, why? That coach is a staggering 17 tons. The martial arts enthusiast is said to have been honing his skills for decades in order to perfect this ultimate, if reckless and dangerous, display of his manliness. I'm sure afterwards he was praised for pulling it off. The stunt, not the penis. Another eye-watering moment now, and we're at a stunt school in Pakistan's Balochistan province. People have always tried to walk on nails, despite the risk. And there seem to be enough people crazy enough to enroll for training in these pointlessly dangerous stunts. Like any physical activity, you have to start with a good stretch. Risking life and limb for a role in a Bollywood film, this is peacocking at the extreme. It's unclear when this kind of feat would be needed on a film set, not in the age of CGI. Unusual body skills are found all over the world. Most of us can hang by our arms, but can we perilously swivel them around 180 degrees in their sockets like this woman can? Probably not. And nor would we want to. Ouch. These young students at the world-famous Shaolin Monastery have discovered the perfect way to pass the time between prayer sessions by hypnotically contorting their bodies. And practice has paid off. See, dedication and meditation is all you need. This man has a dislocated arm, which has become a deadly weapon.
Let me get the tattoo. The tattoo's the best part. Human nunchuck.
Some people's entire bodies have the astonishing ability to bend and stretch like it's made out of rubber. This young guy has managed to perfect the art of bodily contortions over a range of maneuvers where his spine almost bends double. There are two different types of spinal contortionists, front benders and back benders. But this lad's back bending looks more back breaking. Some people's body skills are so out there that they are off the scale to us mere mortals. This guy has such control over his shoulder blades that he can use them to do all sorts. Crumbs. That's one way of sorting out your biscuit base for a cheesecake. What did happen to those cheesy toenail scrapings from earlier? This Nepalese bus driver's extraordinary face can do some weird and wonderful things. Not only can he curl the bottom half of his face over his nose, impressive, but his super long tongue can touch his chin, even more impressive. And when he's bored of that, he can touch his forehead. He claims that when he does his party tricks, people either pass out or wet their pants. Is it normal to be this attractive to bees? Mr. Leroux works as a beekeeper, but just can't get enough of them in his spare time too. They're like, well, bees around a honeypot. Wherever he goes, the 50,000 little friends go too. They never sting him, he says, but good to see he's wearing protective headgear anyway. Safety first. Someone else with strange attraction skills is Zulfikar Ibrahim. He amazed his family when he realised that metal objects stuck to the surface of his skin. It started with spoons and knives, but his mysterious magnetism means he has now moved on to heavier items. On the plus side, you'd never lose your keys with him around. Another who defies the law of physics is 42-year-old Naresh Kumar, who is able to withstand large surges of electricity to his body. It started by accident after touching a live cable. Anybody else would have been killed doing this, so Naresh must be 1 in a billion. Before long, he found that a quick lick of a live wire could reduce his appetite, not something that should ever be done. A stunt that may have reduced his food costs, but played havoc with the electricity bill. Loads more body shocks still to come, including some crazy people who doctored themselves. This is 101 Body Shocks, a show not for those of a nervous disposition. A revolting roundup of some truly astounding and downright degrading things we can do with and to ourselves. When it comes to medical care, common sense dictates it is best left to the experts. But sense is sometimes in short supply when some people decide to do their own DIY doctoring. After a hernia operation, this patient decided to remove his own internal packing bandages. They are there for a reason. Just leave them. I don't think Matron is going to be too happy. When you have a deep arm cyst, what is the best thing to do? Go to a doctor, obviously. Is that what this guy is doing? Obviously not. He's doing his own DIY doctoring. And he's roped his son into helping him. Talk about responsible parenting. Try not to cut your arm off with that thing.
Shit out of there. I can't look now. Let's keep going. Keep squeezing it. You're gonna need more, bro. Only because you like ricotta cheese.
I can't even see it. I'm only looking at the
Note to self, never go to a wine and cheese party at their house.
There it went.
Oh,
that's a big one there, too.
Oh, that's so gross.
What?
This next DIY doc got the hump with a hard lump resembling an epidermoid cyst in his upper lip. So of course he decides to dig into it. But once he starts, he just has to carry on. In go the tweezers and... You should never do this. Now get yourself down to accident and emergency.
That hurt. And now I got a gaper.
That's the least of your worries. What's happened to your voice?
Oh, buddy.
This next guy has located a mystery lump blocking a salivary gland, and he's using muscle power to squeeze out a long calcified mass. You've got to gland it to him. That took guts. Now this wretch-worthy moment is a man draining his own abscess using a knife while prizing his jaw wide open with a mouthpiece from the game Speak Out. As said, no one ever. Slicing open a spot with a scalpel is not on my list of fun-filled activities. It's both stupid and dangerous. Now cue the river of pus and mucus, followed by blood. He won't be able to speak out for quite some time. Now, when a grease-filled pimple is in a hard-to-reach location, you need help. In this case, from some friendly family fingers. This one's putting up a fight. Finally. The definition of true love, when your family are prepared to get behind you and assist with a cyst. Bad idea to use your nails as a surgical instrument, folks, but hey-ho. Looks like there's been a happy ending. Now swab it with antiseptic. Sometimes body shocks are self-inflicted. This bizarre and gruesome stunt involves a so-called suspension practitioner, Doug Smode. Quite a crowd has gathered to watch him dice with death in suspending himself in the air with metal hooks inserted through his face. There's got to be better ways to spend an afternoon. Very sensibly, Doug warns others not to try this at home. I don't think we will be. Thanks, Doug. Another well-hung body shocker is German artist Christian Prinz. This shocking stunt sees him suspended with flesh hooks in his back and knees in order to freak out his fellow Berliners on a local underground train. This is all part of Prince's self-expression, but not something you'd want to be forced to look at on the Piccadilly line during rush hour. And just when you thought you'd seen it all, here's someone who takes skin penetration to even greater heights. Instead of stowing his parachute in a pack, this reckless Finnish jumper has attached it with metal hooks directly to the skin on his back. Now he's gonna jump. The medical implications of suspension-based jumping are a grey area, largely because it is next to impossible to gauge how much force the canopy exerts on the back from different heights. With only a handful of thrill-seekers having claimed to have done this, it's clear to see why this risky sport isn't exactly taking off. On that chilling note, we need some light relief in the form of some more pus and goo. Here, a fat-filled sebaceous cyst in the neck is laser-lanced and squeezed gently to produce... grease is the word. Or to give it its medical term, sebum. Oodles and noodles of it. Of all the awkward places to get an abscess, under your arm must be the pits. What? This man has a rare infection of the sweat glands. The huge buildup of pus produced by his immune system means he can milk himself to get rid of the excess. This woman's armpit has developed a large infected cyst from a blocked hair follicle, and she needs it surgically lanced.
Okay, ready? You let me know if you feel any pain. You shouldn't.
A little nick from the scalpel. And out comes jets of pus. Lucky he brought that shopping bag. Now in go the scissors, and out comes the last of the yellow bacterial residue. Lovely. Not. Talking of big things, this is an extremely infected abscess. They say abscess makes the heart grow fonder. The poor guy here has had to take this whopper on the chin to the medics. Well, he had no choice, or so he thought. And what are the chances that a tiny spider bite on the arm has got so infected that this guy has ended up in the emergency room? There's only one thing for it: cut into it. What a relief that must be to see rivers of the green stuff. And still it comes. Well, that's a shocking lot of pus. And we are nearly at the end of our roller coaster ride through the most shocking and revolting backwaters of the human body. So to get us over the line to 101, here's an assortment of offbeat individuals who are embracing their body shocks and daring to be different. Ted Richards doesn't look like somebody who follows convention. Clearly he got bored with the normal look and had a range of modifications, starting with tattoos, piercings, a split tongue, and eye-watering tattoos directly into his eyeballs. He was clearly prepared to ignore the risks of infection to his eyes in order to achieve his unique look. And the inspiration? His beloved pet parrot, though it's unclear whether he's polyamorous. Model Natasha Crown's attempts to look different started when she was just a regular 19-year-old. But to hit the big time, she decided she really needed to bag herself a bigger booty. Millions of calories and 3 Brazilian butt lift operations later, she boasts an 80-inch ass. But this is not the end for Natasha's rear end, as through a strict pizza and Nutella diet, she's aiming to achieve her ultimate dream: the biggest bum on the planet. This guy's influences seem more off the planet. His modifications are almost extraterrestrial, with the state-of-the-art ultraviolet tattoos and silicone horn implants. He describes himself as a transhumanist who is evolving with technology. Whatever you say, buddy. But prize for the most modified man must surely go to Colombian tattooist Eric Ramirez, who has spent 2 years making himself into a skull, as you do. After years of tattoos and piercings, he decided to up the ante and had the lower half of his nose removed and most of his earlobes cut off. Then hollow shading inked around his eyes to complete the job. He claims to take inspiration from death as a natural process, and he certainly has succeeded in looking dead shocking. We can't top that one, so that's